we will start the topic. So, withdraw your mind from all other times and places. Bring it to the now and here, where your body is sitting. Head, neck, and trunk straight and aligned. Foundation balanced. Hands resting gently on your thighs. Shoulders relaxed. Eyes softly closed. Relax your forehead. Relax your jaw. Relax your shoulders. Relax your entire body. Head to toes and toes to head. Gently guide your awareness to your breath. Navel to nostrils as you exhale. Nostrils to navel as you inhale. Simply follow your breath. Pay special attention to the points where the exhalation becomes inhalation and inhalation becomes exhalation. Let your breath be natural. Do not alter it. Take a gentle breath in and we will chant Om together 3 times. Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Namaste. So once again, as we did in the beginning, let us remember our Guru Swami Ram and be grateful that we have been guided by him in every endeavor that we undertake. And that is why what we are doing is dedicated to him. We learn everything from our Guru. And it is such a delight to be present with him here right now. So today our topic of discussion has been freely decided by me to be free will. Why I thought of this is because, it is a question that sometimes plagues the intelligent people and not so intelligent people also quite equally. We tend to believe that we have free will, and but we don't know the definition of free will. So first of all, let us define what is free will. Free will, to be called really free, that is absolute freedom to think, do, and speak and do whatever, whenever, however you want to do. Now, this is clearly never the case because we have a kind of a framework in which we seem to be fixed to act. And therefore, we have to, we really have to do a lot of research and find out what our elders, what our seniors, what is the idea of the great philosophers who have, and sages, and what our scriptures, what does Bhagavad Gita say? Because then if we have a sort of clear idea, maybe we will take our life a little more seriously and use whatever kind of will that we have to benefit us. So first of all, let us take the viewpoint of the people who say we have no free will. Absolutely no free will. Because whatever we think, first of all, thoughts are not under our control. They seem to just arise and go. But we seem to have choose that this thought I will dwell on. It gives you a sense of feeling that I am thinking this thought and therefore I have the freedom to think this thought. But what the Western philosophers have shown is that this so-called freedom to think what you want to think and decide what you want to decide to speak and do is preconditioned by a preceding cause which we tend to forget. And it has, they can take you back right till your birth and your genes to show you how cause and effect, this thing led to that, and that thing led to that, and that led to that. Even your choice of your spouse depends on so many factors. Whether it fits in your framework of how a spouse should be, whether the moment you propose to the spouse, you were in total awareness and the spouse was responding. So there are so many interrelated, interlocked cause and effects that it is almost impossible to claim that you have the freedom to do what you want to do, when you want to do, how you want to do it, why you want to do it, and where you want to do it. So keeping this in mind, remember there have been experimentations done by these biologists by applying electrodes. Benjamin Libet, and you should Google Benjamin Libet's experiment, and Alan Wolfgang. He goes by the trade name of Dr. Quantum. He shows how our ego is fake. Now, what do we mean by that? You see, they have done simple experiments, and that's why they cannot be conclusive. They blindfold a person and they let him walk and put a burning coal in between somewhere. The man withdraws his foot 300 milliseconds before he touches the coal. Now, how does he do that? That means the neurons that are activated, there is a certain mass of neurons which requires to be activated for the effective order to the foot that now you get withdrawn. And it happens before that. And the man claims, I withdrew my foot. So who is this I who says, I withdrew my foot, when it was all done prior to it, to his knowing even that his foot got withdrawn? That is why Dr. Quantum says that this ego is fake. Actually, ego, which says I do, is a mechanism of registering the event that has happened. And it is necessary because it revises that event and it piles it, compiles it, files it. You can use all of these terms into the chitta, that is into the memory bank. So that if that sensation was, or if that event was a pleasurable one, you will want to repeat it. And if it was an unpleasant one, you will want to avoid it. So you get already conditioned, already programmed. So where is the freedom? You get programmed to decide that such a future event shall be pleasant to me, and therefore, and the funny thing is, they have done another experiment in which they have put, these Westerners, love to experiment, and I think that's a great way of learning. So they have done another experiment. They flash two lights on a screen, and they tell the volunteers that you should press this button if you don't like the light, and press that button if you like the light. And don't decide beforehand that you will alternately press or anything like that. See the light and then decide. The strange part is they found with that electrodes that the button got pressed prior to even the light flashing. Oh. And they confirm they like this one. So you see that the awareness actually which we are directs this body-mind complex according to its samskaras. And our Vaisheshika school of philosophy, we have 6 schools of philosophy. One of them is called Vaisheshika. And this Vaisheshika school of philosophy, I want to tell you how beautifully they are not bothered to answer your silly question of do we have free will or not. They just accept that situations are, this is how the process is. And what is the process? They very accurately, sequentially, they tell you how it happens. First, buddhi, the knowledge. I have the knowledge that wow, this cup of coffee tastes nice. So first knowledge, then the sukha, the pleasure of having enjoyed it. Then it may not be that it was, actually it has become a little cold. So I may not like it. So the pain of that particular sensation. Then fourth, the desire to get more of that coffee, telling my maid, get it, make it hot. So the desire. Or fifth, the aversion. Oh, I don't like this lukewarm coffee. Then prayatna. The prayatna, that means the effort. I will make an effort to try and get what I like and avoid what I don't like. And in that effort, I will automatically be following dharma or I will follow adharma, depending on my upbringing. All of this will cause a samskara. Samskara meaning an imprint in your psyche. Now, this imprint is pushed into your subconscious or in your chitta. And it has a strange habit of arising whenever it wants. Any little trigger and that samskara will come up and you will act according to that samskara. That means the cause is hardly known, but the effect is immediately seen. And when you see the effect, you think you decided to do it. Therefore, you did it. Whereas the subliminal level of decision making was already in action. So the samskara then makes you make a habit pattern. And that habit pattern creates further character. And the character literally creates your destiny. Whereas the other, what has Bhagavad Gita said? Bhagavad Gita has said that prakrute kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. We studied this during our class, that it is your prakriti, and prakriti is formed of these three gunas: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva being the clarity, the harmony, the divinity, closest to the divinity, that guna. Rajas is the dynamism and the passion, the greed, the go-getter. The go-getter is the correct terminology for rajas. Tamas is pure ignorance, indolence, lethargy, procrastination. And it is the permutation, combination of these gunas in a particular moment that make you act according to what they want. But the man who is full of delusion, he says, I did. Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Again, following that, in the very 33rd shloka of this chapter 3, he says that since the gunas are working, even in the wisest of men, what is restraint of the senses going to do? Which makes us feel totally disheartened, that if we cannot do what we are supposed to do to evolve, then how are we expected to change? And then in the 34th shloka, he says, you can. And how can you? By this system which we have discussed about Vaisheshika, that this raga and dvesha, that is attraction and aversion, if you can be vigilant, oh, this is what is attracting me and it is detrimental to me, therefore I will not do. Which means that you are using your discriminative faculty or your viveka to decide whether or not I should have the ice cream or should not have it. Like that, you have to be conscious of your raga and dvesha and you can get over it. This is what Sri Krishna says. And then, yet again, for Sri Krishna is Sri Krishna. He says in chapter 18 that you are nothing but a little doll on the machine of Maya, and you will act exactly according to what that how that machine is getting driven. Yantra rudhani mayaya. So what are we to make of this paradox? Therefore, we need to know what is karma, what is the doctrine of karma, and how therefore we can synchronize this doctrine of karma along with no free will. Can we do that? So we have to know. So Advaita Vedanta comes to your aid. Advaita Vedanta tells you that there are 3 levels of reality. What are those 3 levels? The 3 levels are Paramarthika Sat, Vyavaharika Sat, and the Pratibhasika Sat. Now, in the Paramarthika Sat, which is the absolute, that is Brahman, Parabrahman, whatever you may like to call it, pure consciousness, there's no question of free will because it is freedom itself. Vyavaharika Sat is the transactional reality. That is where we are. We find ourselves at present, which is the creation of Maya. Now, Maya is the creative power of Ishvara or of the Parabrahman, and therefore, it being the creative power, what has it done? You see, after all, Maya is Maya, right? So, don't ever call your child Maya. This word Maya means, actually, in my humble opinion, it means bewitching. It has a witchy effect in it. So what it does is implant the illusion that you are free into your mind. Therefore, whatever you do, you think you are doing it. And you have the full freedom to do what you are doing. So that illusion is implanted in you. Now, what is this Vyavaharika Sat? It is also an appearance on Parabrahman. It is not different from Brahman or Parabrahman at all. Exactly like the Pratibhasika Sat, or Pratibhasika means that which is projected in your dream world. Now tell me, the dream world, actually today I had a very vivid dream that I missed my flight. And you know what? I didn't get up on time and I did not take my bath on time, and I'm just stuck here in the bathroom somewhere, and that fellow is going to come and he was going to take me, and oh God, the flight went. Now tell me, my nephew was there in my dream, the flight was there, I was scheduled to go, there was a bathroom, there was Shirin, and then she woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning telling herself, boy, what's the time? Dash it. It's only 4. Good heavens. So now you tell me, was that reality not reality when it happened? And at the same time, was it real when I woke up? And what was it made of? What was it made of? Where was it made? By whom was it made? You know, the key of existence is given to you in those very 24 hours. We just don't want to use it. This Vyavaharika Sat is exactly like that. Made from Parabrahman, in Parabrahman, by Parabrahman, for Parabrahman. Use any preposition you like and it will apply. Exactly like what happens in our dream. And that girl in that, woman, old woman, in that dream had all the freedom to decide that she had missed the flight. But did she really have the freedom? I'm asking you. So we have a lot to mull over. So these are the various levels of reality. Now, therefore, when one wakes up to the absolute truth, actually that is when you have absolute freedom. Now, we have many sages. It is very nice to understand, and I'm going to tell you about each and every one. For example, let's talk about Ramana Maharshi, because we are talking about Advaita Vedanta. And Ramana has said, you don't even have the freedom to lift a cup of chai, or may go and make a cup of chai. But this is coffee. I just made an excuse that I wanted to have a sip. So did I have the freedom to choose to show you the cup or not? I didn't. The desire made me do what I did. Therefore, Ramana says, you have no control over, control in the sense freedom, to do what you want to do, even in daily life. So then, how am I to evolve? He says the only freedom you have is to aspire for the Lord. And what has Paul Brunton, his disciple, said? He has said, events are fixed. Your attitude towards the event is not fixed. And it is your attitude which lays the seed for the next event. Remember this, write it down 1,000 times in your head. Maybe you should do an imposition. That the event is fixed, my attitude is not. Event is fixed, my attitude is not. So if I want the event to be a powerfully good one, my attitude should be how? Can I sow a neem seed and expect a mango, Alfonso of the best Devgad quality? Obviously not. So if I have to reap that kind of harvest, I must sow that kind of seed. And that kind of seed means what? Only turning to God. Rest of it is not in your hands, because all your gunas are, and it's too complicated. It's all so complicated, because the karma phala, we have gone through whole of karma yoga. We have seen how the karma phala is not, even if you sow a mango seed, it may not become a flower at all, because you put it in the desert. There was no proper water for it. There were no conditions which were conducive to the growth of such a plant there. Therefore, you made a mistake. That's what it all means. So because it is so very complicated. Now see, karma phala is, I have explained before, but I can go over it again. When you do an action, there are two types of results you get. You get a drushta phala and an adrushta phala. Now, if you have done a good deed, for example, you made an old lady cross the road, immediately you feel a sense of satisfaction that I could do something for somebody who needed help. That is the drushta or drushya phala. But that's not where it stops. You will also reap the harvest later of the action that you have done. and that is known as the adrishta phala. That is why we are foxed, because sometimes we get the anticipated result and more times we don't get the anticipated result, because we don't know what are the forces in which are coming together to bring about a certain result. And that is what is the doctrine of karma, and that is how it fits into our feeling of whether we have free will or not. So that was about Ramana, what he says. Francis Lucille more or less says the same thing. And Ramakrishna has said this thing, which I have told you earlier, and that is that Maya herself has implanted this seed of free will in you so that you can desist from sin. So that you can desist. But all free will is just a mere appearance. If the world is an appearance, how can the free will be truth? How can it be truth? It cannot be the truth if it is appearing. See, when you say 0 into 10,000, what is the equal? What is it equal to? Yeah, it's like that. So appearance into truth will be an appearance only. It cannot be the truth. Therefore, whereas the free will is apparently there and we should therefore use it, we do. So, Tadatmanand says, but we have the experience that we have free will. Yes, we have the experience. So should we not be trusting our experience? But isn't experience notoriously elusive? Every day you see the sun going down. Does the sun really go down? But I have the experience. You can't debate it. So experiences are also deceptive. That is his very powerful insight, pointing that we are under this illusion that we are using our free will and choosing to do this or that, whereas actually it is just happening, including a person like Duryodhan. What did he say? Sri Krishna told him, desist from this adharma that you are doing. He said, Janami dharmam, nachame pravrutti, janami adharmam, nachame nivrutti. I know what is dharma. I don't want to do it. I know what is adharma. I have no escape from it. Why? Because his gunas, Rajo Guna was catching and grabbing him with greed. How can he escape? Even the presence of God himself, Ishvara himself, did not transform him. Why? Because the power of Maya is not greater than God, but it is the power of God himself. So the will of God is different. There is a subtle difference between, there's a lot of people who say that, अरे एक पत्ता भी नहीं हिलता है उसके मर्जी के बिना. Of course, पत्ता तो हिल ही नहीं सकता है ना मर्जी के वायु के बिना. वो कैसे हिलेगा? लेकिन मुझ में मैं पत्ता तो हूं नहीं, इसलिए मैं हिलती हूं. So the divine will is such that the wind blows, that the gravity pulls, that the earth orbits the sun, not the other way around. That all these universal laws, and in that is this law of Maya, which has created a sense of freedom within this body-mind complex, and therefore it acts accordingly. When you can align your will with God's will, and what does that mean? That you yourself, it is by dying that you awaken to eternal life. Francis of Assisi has said that. So once you realize or recognize that there is no two, then it is all the will of God, is it not? Whatever action happens is, after all, I am not separate from God. You are not separate from God. Nothing is separate from God. If we postulate that there is something other than God, then I'm using the term God in a general sense, then we are giving more power to that other than God, because it can elbow God down and do wicked things. So even the wicked things that happen are only according to the will of God, because it is only Maya that is playing the actor, the director, the producer, the audience of this beautiful movie. And a little secret is given in your hands, small key is given, because you experience the same thing in your dream world. So the whole secret of our, in conclusion, let us go through what I have written. So Western psychology initially propounded a totally deterministic function of mind. The psychologists, they based on cause and effect theory. And then later on, they have now accepted the fact that when you get a unpleasant experience, you will automatically want to avoid it. So they have inserted the freedom to avoid or to crave for pleasant or unpleasant experiences. And they feel, therefore, that much free will we have. That means raga and dvesha. That's what the Western psychologists have at last accepted. Whereas the Indian philosophy did not consider this as a point to debate at all, because for them, the theory of karma, the concepts of samskaras, vasanas, gunas, left no scope for total freedom. So the experience of being endowed with the faculty of choice, which is our free will, held true only within a given framework and applied to the vyavaharik sat only, empirical sat only. The absolute is freedom itself, and therefore this question does not apply to paramarthika sat. And the will of Ishvara is not to be confused with the human will. It manifests as the immutable laws of nature in this most orderly cosmos. So now my own experience. My own experience and understanding is that the Advaita view makes perfect sense. It would seem futile to exist in this vyavaharik reality were it not for the possibility of evolving, which could not happen without choice at some level. Then again, we can see that even with every effort is made to achieve a certain result, the result is not guaranteed. So many forces come into action for any outcome, and most often one hears people attributing failure to fate. They don't attribute success to fate. They attribute success to my effort, I made all the effort. But if they fail, they say, "Are nasibi jandu to kya karega Pandu?" The point to remember is that the fate is the product we have ourselves manufactured, albeit in the past. For this, a very beautiful example is given by Francis Lucille. You know what Francis Lucille says? He says, you get a package from Amazon and you've forgotten you ordered it because you have Alzheimer's. And then you don't want it. And that's what we are doing all the time. You see, we forget that we ordered this life the way it is. We have ordered it. And then we say, oh, I never asked for this disease. I got diverticulosis, So he gives a very good example. So as you sow, so shall you reap is what I feel in this Vyavaharik Sat. And yet, at all times, remaining aware of awareness which is beyond time, space, and causation. And remembering that this Vyavaharik Sat is an appearance. One can be vigilant. How? See, why is it said now, we are doing chapter 6 in Bhagavad Gita, and it's so paradoxical when Sri Krishna says that this enlightened being, he treats a friend and a foe equally, a stone and gold equally. Nonsense. I mean, with gold, I can get anything. What's he talking about? With a stone, I can only pelt somebody. But he knows they are but an appearance in this Maya Jal of a Vyavaharik Sat. He knows their intrinsic value. At the same time, he knows that they are both divine. The friend and the foe, both of them have the same divinity in them. There is no one without that divinity. And that appearance also is the divinity at work. So how can I not treat them equally if I'm enlightened? If I'm unenlightened, of course, I'll be judging, I'll have opinions, I will be criticizing, I'll be appreciating, I will be sending to gallows the murderer. But the enlightened one is truly, truly compassionate. That doesn't mean he will not send to gallows the murderer in this Vyavaharik Sat, but he will. So that is what we should be aware of. Now, there are some more. I don't know if I have missed any points, but I want to say in conclusion that consider that you have the Rumi has put it best. I think we can conclude with that. What has Rumi said? Being is on a leash, and it's actually tied around your nostrils, and you are given a patch to graze on if you are a cow. Now you finish grazing and you want to go ahead, and your nostrils get stretched. So you come back. Again you try, because you're so foolish. If you were to follow the leash, you would reach your source. But no, you are following that green grass only. So that is the amount of freedom you have, which means what? You have true freedom only to follow that leash and come to the source. Otherwise, you do not have the freedom that you think you have. You keep on struggling.
That's only I'll talk to you.
Therefore, and finally, this world is illusory. So having free will cannot be the truth. Now, I'd like to read a little poem which I have written in Hindi, and please bear with me. हम हैं कौन? हम हैं ही कौन जो समझते अपने को स्वतंत्र? बंधे हैं देखो रिश्तों के धागों से कसके, बंधे हैं देखो परवरिश के पेंचों से, बंधे हैं देखो धर्म जाति के गांठों से, बंधे हैं देखो स्त्री पुरुष के नातों से, बंधे हैं देखो अपने मतभेद से जम के, बंधे हैं देखो अनगिनत कर्मों से, और तो और बंधे हैं देखो स्वस्वरूप के अज्ञान से, बंधे हैं देखो इस शरीर और मन की उपाधि से, बंधे हैं देखो लोक देह शास्त्र वासना से। हम हैं ही कौन जो समझते अपने को स्वतंत्र? भ्रम है ये, मिथ्या है, मिथ्या जानो। अर्थ है इसका सरल, स्वस्वरूप है निर्मल, अव्यय अक्षर अनंत सत्य और स्वतंत्र। So after all this that I have said, one is always free to believe what one wants, although that happens per your pre-program. So with that, I'll conclude and I'll invite any questions if there are. And thank you ever so much. Thank you and Jai Gurudev. We have 10 minutes.
I would like to say something.
Yeah, sure.
I would like to thank Pawanji for this Karma Yoga talks. Thank you so much. I could not attend a few classes, but still, since we were already studying the Gita, so it was easy for me to continue with it. And this free will talk was excellent climax, conclusion to the Karma Yoga talks. I think everybody is feeling it. I can see it in the faces. So, thank you, Shirindi. Thank you, everybody who attended. Thank you very much.
Yes, Ujjwala, you want to say something?
Manjushri, can you mute, please? You are unmuted.
Sorry.
Ujjwala, you're muted.
Yeah, Shirin, that was excellent. This time I even got some more meaning out of it. But still, I think you answered and then I didn't catch it correctly. Where we take birth and the location of birth is not in our hand, right? Because unless you have a fully developed, healthy body, mind, and exposure to this thought process, you will not come to this conclusion. Is that correct?
See, you don't have the freedom for your birth, you can see that. You don't have the freedom for your death, you can see that. You don't even have the freedom of choice for your spouse, which are the major events in our life, is it not? If you go to see, we have actually no freedom whatsoever. Why? Because they are the result, like the Amazon package, which we didn't ask for. And especially in the marriage, that's what is the situation. We don't know why we landed with this package. So I think that we can very happily agree that we don't have a choice. And this is because of the fact that there are many factors going into these events that are happening in our life. We may meet with an accident. You know what happened in Pune. So, it is so inexplicable that there is, our Indian philosophy doesn't even go there. It says we know how actions and results are happening. So we want to know what is the way out. We are trying to know what is the way out. Can we escape suffering? Our whole question is, we don't even know about birth, we don't know about rebirth, we don't know about reincarnation. We don't know. Consciously, we don't know. Some people have a very good experiential, but we know about experiences. We know under drugs what we can experience, which is all false. So how much can we trust that experience even? And yet, rebirth has been proved experientially. Raymond Moody has quoted 2,000 cases of exact recall of previous births. So, without doubting that, if we are under the law of karma, which is the law of God, and the creative power of Maya, then all that we can do, because we are made of these gunas, these vasanas, these sanskaras, all that we can do to escape is to pray. If you are a devotee, व्याकुलता से उसकी याद करो. If you are a jnani, to dwell in yourself, do dhyan. That you can do. You have the freedom. If you are a karma yogi, treat everyone as though he is the embodiment of divinity itself. How can then the divine escape from you? So all the pathways that we have been taught by our scriptures are actually so very valid in this Vyavaharika Sat. This Vyavaharika Sat being this transactional reality, in as much reality as it has while it is existing in your body, in your psyche. If you have identified with it, it is there. When you identify with the character in your dream, it is there, very much there. And all the, the flight schedules and everything will be applied. They are applied. That is the law of God. So that cannot change. If I don't go on time for my flight, will I not miss it? Actually, today, when I did go to the airport, there was a man who came out of as I was entering, and he was telling that security, "Mera flight miss ho gaya." Literally, I'm telling you. Once, my travel agent had booked me on 8th of April when my departure was supposed to be 17th of April. And I had to buy a ticket at the airport, which was 17,000 rupees only to go to Dehradun from Pune. Now tell me, what freedom did I have? How could I change? How could I go back into past and bring that ticket forward? Do I have any freedom of any kind? I have to conform to physical laws. If I say that I have freedom to let this cup go, but it will fly, will it happen? So you can't. You don't have that freedom. You have only the freedom to align to God's will. God's will is good for good, bad for bad. And that is the law. And none escape it. Swami Vivekananda has said, not me. I don't know, did I answer your question? All right.
I'll just take this small opportunity to thank my Ramachiti for introducing me to you, and I feel so blessed to have known you, Shirinji, and thank you for all the talks and all the knowledge that you poured on us, and yeah, and thank you, Pavanji, for giving me that practical advice when you were here in Melbourne. It's really helping. Thank you.
Thank you all for attending. I always tell Pavanji, the Guru is always there. So for whom are we doing what we are doing? The Guru is there in all of you. The Guru is there in his subtle form for us. And it doesn't matter who attends, how many attend. That's not important. What is important is that we feel each other's presence. And we are convinced that in this little satsang, we are making our effort towards him. Then it is his will that our will gets aligned to him. That is all. That is all we are doing. So once again, thank you, Pavan, and thank you all of you. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrutyorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Tanme Manaha Shiva Sankalpamastu. Tanme Manaha Shiva Sankalpamastu. Tanme Manaha Shiva Sankalpamastu. Hari Om Tat Sat.
You.
Jai Gurudev.
Thank you, everybody. Hopefully, we'll see some of you on Saturday. And just to add, Shindi, you said the last class. I'm sure we'll all come back together again soon.
Yes, true. I said this last class in this series.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.